your kids are always watching, right? So if you're making it your entire personality, chances are they think that that's the way.
It is on autopilot. It is on cruise control, but you can't ignore it. It is an elephant that is and will always be in the room.
For sure.
The elephant and I are one and the same.
Before you throw those noodles in the pot, you still need to check the label one more time. So yes, you're safe in your home and you know what you're doing, but it's still on your mind. Allergies never, ever escape you.
Hi.
Hello.
And welcome to EpiPod. Sarah is a mom to 2 little boys with food allergies.
And Danielle has navigated life-threatening allergies her entire life.
Living with an invisible health condition is so isolating.
The fear and the anxiety.
Trying to cover it up so you don't affect anybody else.
Especially your kids.
Phew.
Sound familiar?
Join us on the couch and take a load off with people who just get it.
We're so glad you're here.
Welcome back to EpiPod.
Hey, Danielle.
Hi, Sarah.
We need to come up with a new intro.
I know. Well, that's for season 2.
Okay, that's true. We'll be bigger and better than ever in our intros next year.
What did I almost said it. Welcome back to Allergy Pod.
Well, yeah, I have done that 3 times just today. I'm like, well, this makes sense that we're talking about this. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to not let allergies become your entire identity, which
I'm so guilty of it.
Oh my gosh, me too. I mean, part of it, right, is we have social media pages that we talk about it all the time. I mean, for me, that is truly the reason I started it, right? Like you share other things, but for me, I don't share my entire life there, but anything allergy wise goes there. And then I am on that page quite a bit and people are messaging me and I'm talking to them about their problems. And so for me, it does gray the line.
You're like a free consultant.
Yeah.
You're like an allergy consultant pro bono.
I mean, I love it because it does, I feel like, help others. It helps me at times too, but I do need to watch out. And you always try to help me with that.
Yeah. I feel like I fall into it for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it's like a time, like putting more things on your plate.
For sure.
When your plate is already you're like in a Disney movie, like in Be Our Guest, where he's like, the plate's about to tip over and he's like trying to keep it up while also tap dancing. You are Lumiere. Whereas mine, it's more, it can really affect my mental health. People reaching out to me, asking for advice or solidarity, or have I experienced this as another food allergy adult? But I notice myself taking on other people's traumatic events or other people's fears, other people's phobias, other people's allergy rituals that are not board certified allergist approved. It took a long time for me to notice that I was doing that, but I just kept carrying it around on my back. I was getting choked out by it. Yeah. And it went from I'm a resource and creating a lot of, I'm showing the side of adult allergy life that people didn't even know was possible through treatment and through an allergist that has a really kind, researched approach to whether it's food challenges or just mindset, things that should be okay.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden I went from the few times I have had a scary incident happen to me to then I became afraid of mangoes. I love dried mangoes. It's all that I ate to the point of giving myself a GI problem. I love dried mangoes. And then I stopped eating them for years because somebody told me that they were remotely related. They were related to the cashew. So don't eat it because it gave them anaphylaxis because they were cashew allergy. And I was like, oh, I must not be allowed to have mangoes. Excuse me? Yeah. Multiply that by how many comments, how many scrolls, how many stories are told online, and it can get really dangerous really quick.
And it's not just for us, it's that we're also sharing and hearing that back from people who are on our pages. But for the average person out there, I don't mean we're above average. I just mean the normal person who's not sharing their life on social media. It's the same thing when you're just scrolling yourself, whether you're on my page, Danielle's page, or you follow 10 allergy accounts. It can get really overwhelming to see everybody's both joys and successes, and also their moments that things happen, or their reactions,
what they hold to be true. All of a sudden you went, you meaning me, you went 30 years of life with all of these things being okay. Yeah. And you were always safe and fine. And then you were like, oh my gosh, all these other people say that this is not okay.
Right.
And it really did a lot of damage. And I can just imagine, consume as a consumer and as a creator, but you don't have to be a creator, to your point. Just consuming all of these different opinions, traumas, and what you hold to be your hard yeses and nos is so overwhelming. The human brain is meant to only, like, we were designed to only be able to see like things that are happening on our street, in our community, for lack of a better word, like in your tribe.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing everything from celebrities to overseas to, it's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot to be on social media in general.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to also be an allergy person who is just inundated with it. And it's not just social media.
Totally. I was going to say, we have a whole like media, like allergies in the media episode where we go into like all of those details. Yeah. And that is part of how it can become who you are. Like what you consume is what you are, right? So like that, they say like you are what you eat, but it's like the same thing when it comes to consuming media, right? Like you are what you consume. Yeah. And so that is an element of it for sure. But it's also the fact that like as an allergy person, right? We had a guest on not long ago that brought this up. There are some diseases where you have to manage it a lot, but there aren't many that you have to manage almost every second of every day.
Yeah.
Definitely 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And even when you're in your own home, right, they urge you like, hey, you may have gotten that same product at the grocery store 10 times, but they could change that. So you still need to, before you throw those noodles in the pot, you still need to check the label one more time. So yes, you're safe in your home and you know what you're doing, but it's still on your mind. Allergies never, ever escape you. So when you're just thinking about it, when it's on rotation nonstop all the time, it feels impossible to not let it consume you to the point of, hi, my name is Sarah. I am an allergy mom.
And also it's what people bring up to you first in conversation. You sit down for drinks. Oh my gosh, so glad we got to catch up. How's Graham's treatment? I saw this news story, like this, that, the other. It dominates all of your conversations where you had this little window to escape it, and somehow it loaded even more onto the allergy plate. So it doesn't matter whether it's in media, socially, inside your own brain. You're like, great, something that has nothing to do with eating. Like, I'm just going to like the tennis courts. There's somebody's crumpled up granola bar all over the court that you booked. It is everything. I think it's so important, not just media, not just having boundaries when talking to people, but just really holding yourself accountable to not having that be your full personality. And I'm talking to myself.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's really hard not to do that. Especially as a parent, like in these early days when your kids are little, because you really are their only protection from the world. I mean, they are, even at 6 with Graham, I mean, he is so much better and he totally gets his allergies and all of that. I mean, just the other day, you know, he told his teacher, oh, I can't have this or I can't have this, right? So like he knows, but it's still on me that I created the 504 plan, that I met with the teacher, that I talked with Graham himself. So like it's still, as a parent, so overwhelming and all consuming. And I think that it is fairly impossible to get away from that entirely. So this episode isn't going to be us sitting here and saying like, here's what you need to know, or forget about allergies, you know? But I do think there are ways to carve out times that you are committed to being anything but an allergy mom or someone with allergies. And I mean, it does start, and again, the easier said than done, right? Because especially when your kids are little, and it's not just allergies, it's like nap schedules and, you know, sports activities, and like, it's hard to not just be consumed and be labeled a mom.
Totally.
And then you have the allergies and all of a sudden you're allergy mom, you know, and it's just like a double down effect. So I get that it's hard. I'm speaking to myself. I have a really hard time with this, but something I have worked on very recently is therapy. I finally if you've listened to earlier episodes and you're like tuning back in, she did therapy. She scheduled therapy. And it has been, I was just telling my friend on the phone on the way here, I was like, I'm loving my therapy journey. I had therapy this morning and like, it has been something I put off for more than a year. And I feel so much peace. I feel so much more prepared for so many different scenarios,
Yeah.
having this outlet, not just to talk about allergies, but to talk about like all the things in my life. Right. And so I think doing that is like the biggest dose of self-care that I could have ever given myself, and a way to get somebody else to help you with tools and ways to make sure you carve out time for you and not just you, the allergy mom.
I recently started thinking about it. I mean, for me, social media is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who it's not. You don't have to
Be a content creator.
or you don't have to like have that as a part of your job to like, there are lots of people who just like work in marketing in general, you being one of them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be related to the industry for it to very easily consume you. So putting boundaries in place has been really, I don't follow any other allergy accounts except for you and one other person.
Yeah.
I don't. I muted everybody. And if I need to go look at something, or you repost somebody's something and I'm like, wow, I'd actually like to read more about that. And it brought me so much peace.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing and what we do is really important, but like choosing the voices that I hear from has been really helpful. But and like, that's just an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
Like, that's just putting boundaries in place of like how much I'm on my phone and what I'm consuming. But something I've been thinking about recently as it pertains to allergies is almost treating it like grief. Like, I've heard my mom talk about grieving her parents and like giving advice to somebody who was grieving the loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
And telling them like, after a certain amount of time, like from this time to this time, you grieve. Like, you grieve. And then when that time is up, like, your life is, you're living your life again. Mm-hmm. And I think she was talking to somebody who the person that they lost had served in the military. And so when they were visiting the monument, it was just like really overwhelming for them when they were in DC and in that area for a good amount of time, like wanting to go to the monument, visit their name. Like, it was a lot. And she was like, treat it like you treat any other grief. Like, you go, you have from this time to this time, you go, you visit their name and you grieve. And then when it's over, you go and live your life. Now, it's not, I'm still, whether I'm going to a nail salon, a hair salon, a restaurant, the grocery store, cooking for myself, using the product that I've had in my medicine cabinet for 500 years, like it's always going to be top of mind. I'm not saying like, oh, I only have allergies from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. But it's like, from this time to this time, I am going to be an allergy advocate, or I am going to be open to questions, or I am going to be okay with creating content around it, or I am going to be okay if you're an allergy mom. Like, I am going to set aside this time to make the 504. I'm going to set aside this time for our really stressful allergy appointments. I'm going to set aside this time to have the family meeting with my husband and figure out how we're going to juggle all of this. But then just containing the high stress things to those times. And then the rest of the time, other than the things that we have to do as allergy people to keep ourselves safe all the time, but you're out there living your life. Like, it is like, it's just maintenance. That's the cruise control. Yes. That's your everyday. And that's just the way it is. And for the record, I've never known any different. So like, I don't know what it's like any other way. It's not like a big, scary new thing whatsoever. But like, OIT, doing those 2 hours. And that's when I think I started thinking of it that way. It was like, for these 2 hours, you're really locked into allergy life. Or we are going in for a food challenge. And so for like the day before and the day of, like, you're really locked in for that. And then when it's over, it's over.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's so hard because like, how do you unlock that part of your brain, but just like really holding yourself accountable? Or in a social scenario, like, I know that this is one of my best friends and they really want to know about why I stopped treatment. So I do want to tell them about it, but I'm going to start the conversation with, thank you so much for asking. I'm going to dive into it, but I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it. I really want to hear about like, how's the second trimester going? You know?
Yeah.
Just like being vocal about those boundaries can be helpful for other people too.
Yeah.
To hold you accountable.
I love that. And what you brought up about like time frames and stuff, I think it's so good to like schedule the times because, and then too, it's like, same with like even making a to-do list about other things, right? It's like once you get it down on a piece of paper, once you've like decided, okay, this is blocked on my calendar to do my taxes or whatever it is, it's like, well, then you don't have to worry about when your taxes are due or when you're going to do them. Like you've already set a time for it, right? So like, you're right. The maintenance, the everyday, the constant, that can't be erased. That's just what our life is, but that can be cruise control. And a girl I follow on Instagram, she's on the Fair board. Her name is Hillary. We can link to her, but like she talks about that all the time. Like having there be like cruise control times and then having there be times when you are hyper focused on it. But those cruise control times can make you be able to take like a little bit of a breath and also like use those moments to carve out special time for you, you know? So it doesn't have to be like all hyper crazy all the time. And it also doesn't have to be like shooting for chill all the time. Like you can have, it can be a little bit up and down and that's okay, you know? But I love the scheduling it out thing. I think that was a really good tip from you. Carving out time for yourself or a hobby or like something that is so unrelated to allergies.
How do you do that though as a mom, juggling a trillion things? Like genuinely, I look at your life and I'm like, but where, but how?
Yeah. We want to take a minute now to tell you a little bit about a brand that we really love, Pulse Power, a high-protein, all-natural chickpea-based snack line that is co-founded by an allergy mom.
They have delicious snack sticks and chickpea spreads that are made in a dedicated top 14 allergen-free facility.
A great choice for school lunches and snack boxes. I know. I look at my own life and I'm like, how did I make it through that day? But I have tried. I'm not perfect. I don't stay super consistent, but I have tried lately to do stuff that is completely unallergy related. One of the things for me is like, I love yoga. I've kind of started that journey back up again. Like I did it for a while when I was younger and then I kind of got out of it. And now it's like, I really try at least twice a week, which is not a lot, but it's like something. And for those hours, like I am not generally thinking about allergies, you know, and I just get to do it for me. I also I love having allergy friends, but having people who are completely like not allergy related, like they don't have kids with allergies. Like it's just those people who are just like your fun people, like that you're just like, oh, let's go out to the Christmas bar. Let's like, you know, do whatever. And it's like you guys just have your own things that you talk about and it's not anything to do with even kids. Like if you have a friend that doesn't have kids, that can be really good too. Like if you're an allergy mom, because then you go out and it's like with your allergy, with any mom, right? You talk about kid stuff. And then when you're talking about kid stuff, allergies come up when you have an allergy kid. So if you have a friend that has no kids, that can be kind of beautiful because they don't sit there and talk about kids all the time. You end up using like other parts of your brain. Or
like you're Sarah.
Yeah.
Not Graham and Ethan's mom.
Exactly. Yeah. So even, removing it a step further from not just like allergy mom, but mom in general.
Totally.
It can be kind of refreshing to be like, I
have a lot of friends who have just had babies and I'm talking like 2 and under. Some of them are like fresh infant babies. And I've had a lot of anxiety of like, how does this change our friendship? How does somebody who doesn't know anything about kids, doesn't even know if they want kids, support somebody when I haven't been there myself? And you don't have to go through cancer or something to support somebody who's going through a major medical problem. So like, why is somebody choosing to have kids any different? And that's what I tell myself, but it is different. I'm like, I don't want to say something that I don't know is insensitive, or like, how do I show up for them? Or like, does our friendship, is it just sort of like on pause because they can't leave the baby for the next like 2 years ? Like, I genuinely don't know. And I recently listened to a podcast where the mom, I think her baby's like not even 1. But she was taught before, it was like a dating podcast. And then she ended up like getting married and having the kid.
Shift.
And she was talking, it was like she had her single friend on who's still in the dating scene, and now she has this like 6-month-old or something. And the single friend was talking about like, I love coming over to your place to like visit the baby and see how the baby's doing. And she like took her friend by the shoulders and she was like, I want to hit you in the face. Like, I want to shake you. And she was like, why would you say that? Like, for me wanting to come over and like enjoying seeing your baby, like you're good. Like, what's going on over there? And she was like, I'm glad that you like my baby. That can be a cherry on the sundae of our friendship. But like, I'm still me. I still want to go get drinks with you. Like, I still want to talk about the things that we talked about before kids. And that was really refreshing to me to be like, oh, actually, like, my mom friends are still my friends.
Yeah.
Like, they still need times where they're not, they don't, totally. I can support them by coming over and to hang out with them when they're with their fresh baby.
Yeah. When they're like nap trapped and they can't get up. It's like,
totally. Yeah. But I can also still invite them to the type of things that I always used to invite them to, you know?
And it's the same with allergies. It's like, if you're someone who loves someone with allergies, it's like asking, we're not saying don't ask about it. Like, for sure, like, show your interest and love. And like, that will be really heartwarming to a person with allergies or mom. Like, when somebody does, a close friend of mine asked me about what's going on, like, it does mean a lot that they've asked me, but you're right. It's like, you don't need to stay there only, right? Like, you can jump out of the allergy conversation, or even maybe just like ask somebody like, do you want to talk about this right now? I have a friend, Lindsay, and we go for walks around the neighborhood, and she always, like, if she asks about it, she's like, if you don't want to talk allergies, let me know. But like, I was curious about like, how did this go? And it was like such an easy way and like very like nonchalant way to say it, but also like protect my peace and boundaries and time around like my, like the allergy brain swirling. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I thought we were going on a walk, and then I got 45 minutes to not be an allergy mom. Right. And that was a beautiful way for her to do it.
It was. And it is. She always does that. So it's really nice to have people like that. And maybe you could even like you do, like when someone asks you and you're like, I'm going to say it, but then like, I'm done talking about allergies. Like, and it doesn't have to be rude. It's just like like a friendly, like,
like I'm saying it so that they keep me accountable, because I'm so stinking verbose. Of course we'd have a podcast, verbose queen. But I'm like, I'm going to say this in 3 sentences. Keep me to it, because I don't want it to eat into, I don't want it to eat into everything. Speaking of like friends who do it beautifully, sometimes like it is on autopilot, it is on cruise control, but you can't ignore it. It is an elephant that is and will always be in the room.
For sure.
The elephant and I are one and the same. I had a friend last week who, one of her best friends who I've never met before, was having my favorite things, like the Julie Andrews song, like these are a few of my favorite things. It's like Secret Santa, except like more girly and cute. Yeah. Where every girl brings, and it doesn't have to be a Christmas, like it's you can do a favorite things any time of year. Okay. But like each girl brings like their favorite thing that they've been addicted to. Like it could be like an under eye mask that they're just like obsessed with. Okay. Or like their favorite hand lotion that they're just obsessed with right now. So everybody brings their thing, and you like, it's like a Secret Santa swap thing, but it was like favorite things and favorite dishes. Mm-hmm. And so it was like giving potluck, but also this like cute, and just like the cutest group of girls you've ever met in your life. And it was her friend group. And she was like, I'd love, and you were supposed to bring, it was like favorite things, favorite dish, and favorite person. Like you're supposed to bring like somebody else into the group so that they get to know a friend who's like not a part of the insular friend group. Loved. And so she was like, you are my favorite person. I want to bring you. Will you be in town? Will you come with me? Be my plus one. You have 1,001 recs of like beauty, nails, whatever. Like I'm sure you have that covered. And in terms of favorite dish, like, does that give you any sort of like pause with allergies to say yes? If like, is that part of the invitation holding you back whatsoever? That was just the intro text. Like it wasn't like me having to say like, I would love to, but that would be kind of weird. She was, I won't be in town. So I was like, dang it, I wish I could have gone. But yeah, that totally, seeing something that says favorite dishes gives me anxiety. Yeah. And she was like, I already came up with a plan. I already told them my favorite person has food allergies and there will be no nuts on the menu. And I also told them, just because there's no nuts, it still means you're not going to eat. It just means that you can have a good time while being there and not have to worry about all of us having nuts. And I was like, you did all of that before you even invited me. Aww. Like, I think that and there's no way for us as allergy people and the allergy people listening to like create a Lindsay or create a Sarah out of these people, like out of the people in their lives. But like when you find those rare humans who help you not make it your whole personality because they took the backpack off of you for 5 seconds and said like, hey, you're coming to the party with me, or hey, we're going on the walk and I'm going to carry the backpack this time.
Yeah.
And I know you're not going to eat, and I know you probably don't want to talk about the whole time, but like, let me carry the backpack this time.
Yeah. It's so true. You got to hold on.
Yeah. Like really hold on to that. And I told her, I was like, that was such a beautiful way to do it. Like, thank you so much. Like I told her like you carried the backpack, and she was like, huh?
Yeah. Aww.
Yeah. So like surrounding yourself with people like that.
Totally. And you know, one thing, like kind of we've been talking about like leaning out of the allergy conversation, but one thing I have found too is in some ways leaning in for me, like in the advocacy space of things, like when I went to DC and I was doing stuff, you know, in the spring, gives me like a sense of purpose around allergies, to where it's like, yes, it's what I'm talking about and what I'm thinking about, but I feel very like actionable. Like I feel like I'm like doing something. And to me, it's like those parts that it's like, yes, we can't do anything about it. It's the elephant in the room always. That it's like, at least it's like an elephant that's making change, right? So like, I feel like in some ways for different people, that could be a meaningful part of the journey, where it's like, yes, you're not necessarily removing your identity from it, but you're making something positive out of it, rather than just being afraid all the time in your allergy life. Like you can do something that's making a difference. And in some ways, I think that can be helpful for some people.
I think like that's so true. Like it feels like all of a sudden there's a lot of change. Like for years I was like, how come all these other conditions get attention and then they get money and then they get research and then they get cures? Yeah. Or they get options and mine doesn't because it's rare or nobody talks about it. And now all of a sudden it's Neffy and it's Tip trying to get FDA approved, and it's the Listerine thing, not the strip. Oh yeah. That like, finally it feels like all of a sudden there's like a little, I can hear the tires on the caboose. They're squeaking.
Progress.
And so like being a part of it, it feels like, gosh, it wasn't for nothing. Yeah. Like you handed me a bag of moldy lemons and I made like a Michelin star gelato. Hand me something else. Don't. Universe, if you're listening.
We are full.
All I want you to hand me is like maybe a puppy.
Oh, no, I can't handle a puppy right now. Way too much work. But Graham really wants a puppy. And I'm like, buddy, you're still allergic. And also, no, for all reasons.
What about a cat?
So I would love a cat, but Mark is like, had a cat once like pee on our floorboards and like it never came out. Like it was like,
when?
I mean, it was like through the carpet that got into the floor. This was like a rental house, but it was a whole thing. And after that, he was like, I'll never get a cat again. So cat's off the table.
I just like have this memory of that Instagram story of Mark holding that your friend's cat.
Oh my God. Cats love him.
It was like the whole weekend. Every time Mark would be on your Instagram story, there was a cat on top of him. And I was like, this is a riot.
Oh, he is like the cat person. He's the dog person too, but like cats, just for some reason, they freaking love him. But
that's so funny.
We have gone off the rails. The one last thing I would say about this topic is, as a mom, we've talked a little bit about it with like the anxiety part, but like your kids are always watching, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're making it your entire personality, chances are they think that that's the way, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, as they grow up, are they going to make it their entire personality? But if instead you're finding things that bring you joy outside of allergy life, if you're taking care of yourself, if you're making sure they're safe and telling them the right allergy rules, but then beyond that, letting them live and letting yourself live, that's the example that they need. And so I think it's really important to remember that you're doing it for yourself, but as a mom, you're also doing it for your kids.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. Yeah. That's so true.
Okay. Anything else before we jet? I feel like this is just a so much easier said than done type of topic. It's going to take work.
It is,
but it takes time.
It's sort of like the like clean beauty, clean health, like healthier. Yeah. You know, like
little bits.
Well, yeah, there's no way that you can stop microplastics in every corner of your home and also switch every product and also like throw out all your makeup and also change the way that you cook and eat. Like it's so much. You can't do that. Mm-mm. But what you can do is like, okay, for the whole next week, like I'm not doing a plastic water bottle. I'm not making another goal until no more plastic water bottles is like my normal. Okay, great. That's my normal now. Sick. Now I'm going to like change my blush. And until that's normal for me, I'm not doing another one. I think that this is the same thing. Yeah. Like it is so nebulous. It is so easier said than done, but just like pinpointing one thing that would make you 1% unloaded and 1% more of a full, more balanced person who is like an accidental medical expert in this one condition is worth it. So like picking one thing and that being your goal every week until that's your normal is totally attainable.
It is. And that's a really nice way to put it.
Yeah. Mine right now is like, because I just, my like goal as an allergy person is to go back to the person who I used to be. Like maybe I won't be eating Thanksgiving and not caring about not knowing every ingredient in every dish ever again, because I honestly, like, thank God I didn't have an accident as a child.
True.
But like being a more balanced person who was willing to go out to eat multiple times a week and who didn't hyperfixate in the movie theater and who never went to a workout class and freaked out wondering who used the mat before them and what sort of body lotion they use and did it have argan oil and am I allergic to argan oil? And it was just like, oh my gosh, taking like my goal to getting back there is once a day, whatever it is that I want to say no to, asking myself, and I don't have to do this for everything, but once a day, if the question is, gosh, I wish I could do that. Well, did you used to do that? Yeah, I did. Was it like one of those like stupid things, like thank God you were okay? Or was it like probably going to be okay and your doctor would be like, yeah, go do that.
Yeah.
If it's a yes to that, your doctor would say, yeah, go do that. Once a day, I have to say yes to something that like every part of my allergy body wants to say no to.
Your anxiety brain.
Yeah. And I'm going to have that one goal. Probably we're going to be sitting here in 2025, November 2025. And that will probably still be my goal. Yeah. But like, that's how I'm attacking this like nebulous.
Yeah. One bite at a time.
One bite. What's yours? What's your clean health nebulous? Just kidding.
Yeah. I think
because you for a while it was therapy and you made that one. So
that's true. I checked that box. Look at me go. Let's see. I don't know. I did bring up yoga. I've not been consistent with that. I think I would love to, you know what? I know what it is. Mm-hmm. Screen time limiting. So like, I'm particularly bad at like scrolling before bed. Mm-hmm. And then I think I don't go to bed at a reasonable hour. And I've recently just read how important sleep is and like how it can really impact every part of your life. And so I think going into like the next year and like making this a part of allergy life, where if I'm going to bed earlier, my brain is healthier, I'm feeling better, and I'm not doing as much scrolling through the social media apps that are talking about, or not apps, but pages that are talking about allergies. Like I'm going to have less of that in my brain outside of, again, the cruise control items.
Going to bed with that in your brain, it's in your subconscious all night long. And are you even resting?
Exactly. So I think that is going to be my thing.
I feel like a lot of allergy moms can't, like the typical fix for it is like, well, plug in your phone in the bathroom and don't take it to bed. But as an allergy mom, especially like if Graham gets older, when he's in high school, and he's like maybe doing like a camping trip away or something like that, like you're not sleeping with your phone in the bathroom. My mom sleeps with her phone like basically against her cheek. And
I'm what if Danielle calls?
Yeah, and I'm 33 years old. Okay, so like,
oh yeah.
Did I tell you that she called 911 on me the other day?
Wait, did I hear this?
She literally had Austin PD wake me up. I can't tell this story.
She's going to be like, wait a second.
It's fine. I don't think she listens.
We'll tell it on your social media and you'll be on the lookout.
But anyways, I'm saying for moms who are like, yeah, I could never. Yeah. We should put my app blocker in the show notes. And I'm going to send it to you.
Send it to me right now so I don't forget.
Like if unsolicited, not that you asked, unsolicited advice, if you turn that on when you go up the stairs to bed, you literally can't access the apps. Like you have like your book or your email, or
Right.
like what else could you distract yourself with? So if
Yes.
like if the
Is it a
rule-
paid thing? Do I have to pay for it?
I don't know.
Okay.
If you did, it wasn't that much.
Okay.
Frugal Franny, I'll pay her for your subscription. Use the app blocker and turn it off before you go up the stairs to bed, because then I do the same thing. 1 minute I get in bed and it's 11:30 p.m. and then it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, what? I just got in bed. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, I love your goal. I'll hold you accountable for yours.
And I'll try to hold you accountable for yours. It's a little more for you. You have to like kind of muster a lot of it up yourself, but I'll try to like ask you about it, keep you honest.
Or I can text you what I did each day.
Yes, love that.
Okay.
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 All right.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. See you next week, and looking forward to 2025.
2025. Bye.
Bye.